Hi, I'm Susan Rutledge, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a seamless repeating pattern swatch in Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to be making the abstract design that you see on the top left corner of my artboard. Then I'll show you how to apply different colors to the design to get totally different looks. First, let's move over to a new document and we'll get started. I'll get the Ellipse Tool, keyboard shortcut L, and click on the artboard to open the Ellipse dialog box. And I'll start out with the center circle at 1/2 inch. I'll type in 0.5 for the width, tab down and type in 0.5 for the height, and say OK. Then I'm going to remove the fill color and increase the stroke weight to 10 points and press the return key. Now click on the artboard again. I'm going to type in 1 inch for the width, tab down, type in 1 inch for the height, say OK. Click again, type in 1.5, tab down, type in 1.5, say OK. Click again, type in 2, tab down, 2 again, and OK. And the last one, click on the artboard, type in 2.5 inches for the width, tab down and type in 2.5 inches for the height, and say OK. Now get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and select all of the circles. Move over to the Properties panel and click on Horizontal Align Center and then Vertical Align Center. Now my circles are all equally spaced, and I can come up to Object, down to Path, and I'm going to convert them to outline strokes, clicking here. And then I'll move this to the center of the artboard, and I'm going to divide these into quadrants. I'll get the line segment tool, keyboard shortcut / and align my cursor with the center of the anchors on the circles. Now you see this little pink line showing up, and that's my smart guides helping me stay right in line. And if you don't have your smart guides turned on, go up to View, down to Smart Guides, and click here. You can also use the keyboard shortcut Command U. Alright, I'm lined up with the center. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and drag a vertical line through all of the circles. Then I'll come to the left side, line up with the center of the circles once again, hold the Shift key down and drag out a horizontal line. Then I'll get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and select the circles and the line, and I'll come over to the Properties panel in the Pathfinder area, click on the ellipsis here for more options, and I'll use the Divide Pathfinder tool. Then I'll turn off the bounding box, keyboard shortcut Shift Command B, and I want to ungroup all of these pieces, keyboard shortcut Shift Command G. Now I'm able to select just the bottom right quadrant, and I do want to group these pieces so they'll stay together. So I'll use the keyboard shortcut Command G. Then I'm able to pull these away, and as I said, they're all going to stay together. Now I'm going to rotate this section. I'll get the Rotate tool, keyboard shortcut R, and I'll hold down the Shift key as I drag. I'm going to drag to 90 degrees and then release my mouse first, then take my hand off of the Shift key and get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and drag this section back over and match it up with the lines on the bottom left side. Then I'll release my mouse, hold down the Option key, and make another copy by just dragging onto the artboard. And we're going to get the Rotate tool again, keyboard shortcut R, and this time I'm going to drag 180 degrees, and I'll get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and I'm going to match the top of this section with the right section up here. So I'll just drag over and do the best that I can to match these perfectly, and the whole idea is to be very precise so that your pattern is in fact seamless. I'll release my mouse here, and it looks like everything is matched pretty well, but I'm going to get the Zoom tool, keyboard shortcut Z, and we'll move in just to make sure. It looks like everything's lined up well, so I'll get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, select all of these objects, and I'll use the Shape Builder tool now. Keyboard shortcut Shift-M. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the top half of the circles, so I'll hold down the Option key and just drag across the top half, and then I'll get rid of the left quadrant as well, and I'm left with this section which has some overlapping pieces. Now, I'm not going to make a lot of changes, but I do need to clear out this area where my white stripe should be. So I'm still holding down the Option key, and I'll drag across this black piece right here. I'm going to get rid of this little line here. And then I'm going to come down to this next area where this should be a white stripe and drag across the black piece to delete it. Let's come on around here and get rid of this piece here. Then I'll leave everything else the same and get the Selection tool, Keyboard shortcut V, and this is exactly what I want it to look like. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to go over to the Properties panel, and in the Pathfinder area, once again, I'll click on this ellipsis for more options, and I'm going to use this Merge Pathfinder tool. I'll click here, and this joins all of these pieces together. Now I'm going to zoom back out, keyboard shortcut Command 0. And now we have a fourth of our design. I'll move this up just a little ways. I'm going to hold down the Option key to make a copy and the Shift key to keep my copy in the same horizontal line. And when I see the pink line and the word intersect, I'll release my mouse and then take my hand off of the Option and the Shift key. Then I'll select both of these pieces and I'll do the same thing. I'll hold down the Option key to make a copy, and I'll hold down the Shift key so I'm dragging in the same vertical line. And when I see the word intersect, I'll release my mouse and then take my hand off of the Shift and the Option key. And now we have our design. I'll select this and move it up into the top left corner, and then I'm going to make a copy. I'll hold in the Option key to make the copy and the Shift key to drag in the same line. Then I'll select just the top right quadrant, hold down the Shift key and select the bottom left quadrant, come over to the Properties panel and click on the color fill icon and apply this nice deep blue color to the design. Then I'll select these two designs, and I'll hold the Option key down to make a copy and the Shift key to drag in the same horizontal line. For this design, I'll click on the top left and the bottom right quadrants, holding down the Shift key to select both of them at the same time. I'll come over to the Properties panel. We're going to apply a green color here. Select the top right quadrant and hold down the Shift key and select the bottom left quadrant. Come back over, click on the color fill icon and apply this deep red color. I'm going to select this entire design here. Come over and click on the color fill icon and apply the green color here. And then I'll click on the artboard to deselect the design. Now I've already brought the swatches panel onto the right side of my workspace. I did that by going up to Window, coming down to Swatches, clicking here, and that brought the panel out here on my artboard. I clicked on the Swatches tab and drug it over and docked it right next to the Layers tab here. And I did that because I want the Swatches panel to stay open. Now the way that we create these swatches is we take our design and we simply drag and drop it into the Swatches panel. And I'm dropping it right next to these other designs. If you try to drag it and place it in with the colors, it's just going to bounce right back and it won't be added to the Swatches panel. Now let's grab the blue and black design. We'll do the same thing, and then the red and green, add it, and finally this lime green and add it to the design. Then I'll get the pen tool, keyboard shortcut P, and I'm going to create a little Christmas tree for us. And then I'll get the rectangle tool, keyboard shortcut M. Here's our trunk. I'll get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and select both of these. Come over to the Properties panel and click on Horizontal Align Center. and then click to unite in the Pathfinder area. Then I'll get the Ellipse Tool, keyboard shortcut L, and drag out an ellipse. Then I'll come over to the left toolbar, click on the Ellipse Tool, hold down my mouse, and I have this flyout menu, and I'll choose the Star Tool, and I'll drag out a star next. Get the Selection Tool, keyboard shortcut V, and then I'll get the Rectangle Tool, keyboard shortcut M, drag out a rectangle, get the Direct Selection Tool, keyboard shortcut A, and around these corners, and get the Rectangle Tool again, keyboard shortcut M, and I'll create another rectangle, get the Selection Tool, keyboard shortcut V, and select both rectangles, come over and align them horizontally and vertically, then get the Shape Builder tool, keyboard shortcut Shift M, hold down the Option key and remove the center. Now we're ready to apply our pattern to our designs. I'll get the Selection Tool, keyboard shortcut V, and I'll select the tree first, move to the Swatches panel, and we're going to apply the red and green design to the tree. Now I like the design, but it's a little too big for this tree, so I'm going to come up to Object, choose Transform and Scale, and I don't want the tree smaller, just the pattern, so I'll uncheck Transform Objects, and I can scroll up and down with my mouse until I have the size pattern that I want, and then I'll say OK. I'll select the ellipse next, and I'm going to apply the black pattern here, and we're going to resize this as well. I'll come back up to Object, Transform, Scale, and let's make this really small. And I'll say OK. Then I'll select the star, and I'll apply the lime green pattern to it, and that's way too big. Let's come back up to Object, Transform, Scale, and that looks much better. We'll leave that at 25%. And then finally, our little frame here, I'm going to apply the black and blue pattern, and I think I'm going to leave it just like that. Well, now you know how to create the design and recolor it and apply it to different shapes. But there's one more thing I want to encourage you to play with on your own, and that's the design itself. If you take these quadrants and you rotate them in different directions, you'll end up with a completely different look. Well, I do hope that you've enjoyed this video and learned something about creating this specific kind of an abstract design and turning it into a seamless pattern swatch in Adobe Illustrator. I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my future tutorials, and I'll look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye now.